Master your aviation environment with Skyglass, the next level in flight tracking software. This cutting-edge aviation intelligence platform delivers 3D flight tracking, advanced geofencing, and real-time weather integration, arming you with tactical insights and precise control. Built for professionals who need to monitor, analyze, and secure airspace in real time. Take control with Skyglass, your tactical advantage. Skyglass from Aviar Labs.
All right. Hey, welcome, folks. It's going to be your SITREP. It's 12/17/2024, coming to you live here from the Monkey Lounge in the great state of Texas. As we get into the deets, once again, we're going to be talking about the drones, what they aren't telling us. There are just so many different things that are going on with respect to this drone activity. I believe, as I've said before, it is surveillance that is being conducted, but there's a bunch of other stuff. There's so much disinfo that's being pushed out there. There's fake AI images, just all kinds of things happening. And they're just feeding on this in terms of trying to just create all of this misinformation, disinformation campaign, whatever you want to call it. They're taking our eyes off of a lot of other things. We'll be talking about that as well. Abysmal job reports. You've got Biden basically pardoning all kinds of people and some really bad ones. We'll talk about that as well. And then we're going to talk about what Russia has just confirmed, exactly what I was saying. We're building up troops at an accelerated level into Europe right now. So we're going to look at that closer. And then, of course, I'm going to show you some news about us striking ISIS targets inside Syria. Yeah, we saw that coming. So let's get over here into Skyglass as always. And if you would hit that like, subscribe, bell for notification, regardless of the platforms you are on. Helps the channel out tremendously. And then if you want, join us over here on Patreon. We got a lot of extra content and chat boards and all kinds of different things that you don't get anywhere else. So, okay. Now, we're looking at the skies. I'm sitting around 253. I've stripped out a ton of trainer activity today. If I were to just kind of peel it back at the top 10 that are up, we've got about 50 air refuelers up, which is 2x what the normal number is. And H-60 Blackhawks are sitting at around 37. You can see them kind of spread out up the eastern seaboard and around the U.S. The left coast has not even begun to get activated yet. And a handful of C-17s. H-47 Chinooks. You can see they're a little busier today. 14 of those up on screen, 11. So 3 are out over Europe, okay? All right. So let's go ahead. Let's just peel this back. We're going to get into the watch list. Those round circles are intelligence gathering. That's their visibility rings, all right? And so they're doing recon, surveillance, whatever it may be, over the United States, and a lot of it's covered up. A lot of Europe is covered up right now between the intel balloons and then all of the low flyers. You got drones over Turkey, as you can see the smaller rings, lower altitude, right? Back over to the U.S., you're just going to notice along the southern border. Now, what you see currently up, there are a lot of air refuelers, as I mentioned. I did not pull those out of the feed. And you can see a lot of the intelligence aircraft that are currently up along our southern border. And just kind of sporadic all over the U.S. in terms of gathering intel. And then this one, that's an R-135 in Canada, right? Up on the, and well over the U.S. border. So I guess we're feeding the Canadians some intel. So, all right, let's talk about ISR, right? Intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. That's what that stands for. Let's clean up our screen a little bit. Look at the flurry of activity just around kind of the Midwest and the western side of the U.S. All of that, those are Glex flights operating out of Biggs Army Airfield. And then those circles that I just pointed out, man in the middle, that's over Georgia and over Alabama. So what are they doing with the man in the middle technology? They're grabbing cell data. And then you can see it up and down the eastern seaboard, around Kaliningrad, as always, out over the Baltic Sea, up towards Norway. And then let me see if we can drop this down a little further south. And you can see that pretty active off the coast of Israel and then all over the Mediterranean, low, high, all around. And then you can see as well coming out of Okinawa up towards South Korea. And we know South Korea's got their whole set of issues. And then look at this one. Remember, I showed you going it into the Northern Territory in Australia, but notice it's over into Perth now. All right. Intelligence. Now we talk drones, and you'll just notice that we got a little bit of stuff happening here off the left coast, southern end, right near the border, out over Los Angeles, etc. And then a little bit around activity there off of Jacksonville Naval Air Station, and then up the coastline into what looks to be Delaware area, kind of flying in towards Dover, maybe around, at least in that general side of the house, maybe Norfolk. Okay. All right. And then we get over here to Europe, and I got nothing, which is really bizarre. But then look at the activity of the Q4 looking at probably Syria. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a minute, but super active in terms of drone stuff coming out of Malta. You can see some low altitude things too, north of Libya. It's just crazy, the amount of activity right off of Israel and over Israel's territory. It's kind of nuts, though. So we seem to be maybe working a little closer with them hand in hand. All right, let's talk R135s. Again, SIG Intel. You can see this one that just does a little bit of work around its normal locations, launching out of Lincoln, Nebraska, it looks like. But notice the broken traces of the one that heads down south into South America, Central America, and back, maybe not. I only see one directional trace there. And then around Kaliningrad, off the shoreline of Kaliningrad, that's Russia. And then over Constanta towards the Black Sea. Little blip popping up there out of the Middle East there near the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, in that general area. And then you can see the stuff launching out of Okinawa headed north towards Japan. All right, now let's look at the nuke sniffer while I've got that one. This is R135 Constant Phoenix. Notice it is transitioning. It looks like it maybe came from Diego Garcia, maybe out towards Guam or vice versa. All right, headed one direction there. Not seeing it over the Middle East at all. Let me get over to the U.S., and I got one little tiny blip of that thing popping up, and then it disappears. Again, nuke sniffer. All right, AWACS, advanced warning. This is, we'll start out, you can see kind of Australia, very unusual. Typically, we see a sea of activity over 5 days off the coastline of Australia, and I got nothing, which is very, very strange and unusual. We get out over Europe, you'll just notice it heads down towards the Mediterranean, right? Over France, and then to the southern end, kind of the little man in the middle stuff there towards Turkey, right, is you'll see over Turkey around that little pinch point that rolls into the Black Sea, right, near Istanbul, and then over to the United States, and you'll just notice very border-centric in terms of the AWACS and where they're headed, all right. Now, let's do this. You can see one headed out over the Pacific side too. Let's look at this part right here. This is your air refuelers. Now, I just showed you, we got 50 of them up right now. Remember, this is a good indicator that there's a lot of fighters up, okay? These air refuelers hold around, I want to say 200,000 gallons of fuel. And of course, they can refuel around 25 to 30 F-16s if they're not, total like bingo fuel. Just topping them off. So it gives you kind of an idea. And you can see, look at the amount of traces going across the drink. We had just put a sea more fighters into Europe, right? Look at this going in to Ramstein. Look at the amount coming out of RZE in terms of air refueler activity. Very strange. Look at the thick trace line there. Down towards Malta, towards Italy, right? Operating out of RZE, and then over Constanta. Again, that's just an indicator we got a lot of fighter stuff going on, all right? So then that brings me over here. I expected to see a lot more over the Middle East, but they kind of go dark because, they do. All right. Now, look at the C-17 traffic, and I just want to point out this is 5 days. you see it around the U.S., you see it going to the ports, etc. Look at the lines going across the Atlantic. 5 days. All right. Look how thick the trace lines are going into Europe. Okay. And down into the Middle East. Look at it going across the northern side of, look at that, how thick this is. And then look at it going over the Mediterranean into the Middle East. Telling you, we're pushing troops in right now like nobody's business. We ain't bringing them home for Christmas. We're pushing it the other direction. I'm going to show you an article that confirms that, okay? Okay, now let's get back over here to the mini and let's get into the news cycle, and then we'll kind of peel this back some. All right, first and foremost, just as we've been saying, look, this guy he's a chronic liar. Part of it may just be because he doesn't remember what he said before, but these politicians, it's just like muscle memory, man. When their mouth opens up, blah, it's just, I'm just going to throw as much rubbish at you as I possibly can. And it just blows you away at how comfortable they are with just lying to us all. All right. Sickening. But look at this. This back in August, all right, Zero Hedge actually called it. They said that they're overstating jobs by up to 1 million. Well, it came out, it was pretty doggone close to it, 818,000 revision lower. So this is the revision just over the last Q2, okay? Just 1 quarter, 3 months, all right? So look at this, 800,000 jobs, basically, they just said, we had them and they didn't exist. So they're gone, all right? Now look at this. This part is sickening because he is just letting people, everybody and his brother, get free rides. He grants clemency to nearly 1,500 people. It's the biggest single-day act of clemency in modern history. The politicians aren't really mixed into this from what I can gather, but what are child rapists, people that have basically... there's Chinese nationals. There's all kinds of different things that are in here. They say that, and actually some of these are felony acts, okay? So they're felons that they are basically just giving them free slate. But one in particular was a guy out of Plano, had 47,000 child pornography images on his computer when he was arrested, including infant rape, okay? Let that sink in. This is who he's letting out on the street. So it is absolutely gut-wrenching and sickening what this guy is doing. What can you say? I'm just going to move on, but that is disgusting. All right. Okay, and then speaking of just total, look, the White House, everything they do just blows you away at how much they lie. But look at this. The White House declares mysterious drones legally and lawfully operated. Yeah, you know what? They probably are. I'm sure there are some bad actors in here as well. If there weren't, they wouldn't be trying to put out all of these different statements. They wouldn't be trying to cover, their tracks in certain areas. But look at this. You got Homeland Security, the FBI, FAA, DOD, all issuing a joint statement just saying, look, there's over 1 million drones lawfully registered. That's where the White House gets this from. All right. But let me just say this, right? Yeah, hobbyist commercial. We mentioned all of that before. I showed you the maps. And I had people tell me, look, they have to, all you do is disable it and you can fly wherever you want to fly. Okay, well, if you're savvy enough to do that, sure, you probably can. Look, most people aren't going to fly a drone if they don't want to be seen. If it's a secret program, whatever it may be, if it's government stuff, they don't want to fly a drone in the middle of the night with all the lights on it, okay? Those things will be blacked out. You'll never even know they're there. That's the whole idea. But look, one of the things it says here talks about law enforcement drones. Yes, they have them. In fact, I don't know if you know this or not, but the law enforcement drones, some of them, the ones that have the budget to go buy this stuff, can actually read your phone screen from a mile away. So, can they survey? Yeah, absolutely. And the feds, they're probably in on all of this. My guess is they're surveying somebody in New Jersey. Why they aren't going black, I don't know, but that's more than likely what is going on here. And there's like there's so many sightings that are just not accurate, right? People see commercial aircraft fly over, right? And they are basically, oh, it's a drone. Okay. So a lot of it is just people starting to get in on the hype. All right. So let's continue on. But they issue a joint statement, and we get on over here. And I will tell you this: this is not connected. I don't think it is by any means. In fact, this started out like, oh my God, they have radioactive material that has just gone missing. Okay. If you read into the details around this, it was a medical machine, a device, almost like MRI imaging machine that basically was being shipped out. It was being scrapped, and then somebody probably saw it and thought, hey, you know what? That's worth money, and stole it, probably not realizing that it has this small little amount of radioactive material inside it, as you can see. Okay, it's not crazy amounts. So much like I would be more concerned about the tons of ammonium nitrate that went missing about a year and some change ago, that the train showed up with, left with 20 tons or something of ammonium nitrate. That's what they used to take down the federal building in Oklahoma City. The train arrives and it's empty. So I'd be more concerned about that than I would about this, okay? All right, and then check us out. Drones over New Jersey show signs of coordination. They elude helicopters. This is coming from state officials, right? You had state troopers that were up. Of course they do. Look, drone pilots, if you're flying one, you see a helicopter coming towards it, you're gonna start moving it away from that helicopter. The other piece too, these drones, including like the one I have, I've got a DJI drone that is not cheap by any means, but they have sensors on them. So if I start to fly that thing and I can't see it anymore, but I'm watching it on my screen and it starts to go towards a tree or something, it will immediately pull back and go into hover mode. So you don't crash the thing or you don't fly it into something. They have all of that smart sensory on these now. So if you had several of them up, yeah, you can absolutely coordinate and have them working together. So that's just that smart technology that's out there these days. All right, and then here we go. This is another one you have to watch, though. Mysterious drones force U.S. Air Force Base to close airspace over Ohio. So it's not just happening in Jersey. It's in Pennsylvania. It's in California. It's in Ohio. It's all over the place. A lot of these are hobbyists, but there are people that are just curious what's going on our military bases, all right? And so that's what's happening here. So I don't think... Now, like I mentioned, I've seen videos that are absolute fabrications. I've seen videos that are absolute aircraft. And then I've seen videos that are very bizarre, almost look like you're looking into like a whole other dimension, like shapeshifter kind of weird stuff. Are they real? I don't know. Have no idea. But there's a lot of it going on. There seems to be sky event after sky event happening all around. Is there going to be a big one coming? Maybe. It's just definitely some strange things happening with the amount of drones. But as I mentioned, there's 1 million drones currently in operation in the United States. And so, people are getting up right now. They want to look at Christmas lights, all kinds of different things at night. If they're showing strobes, then more than likely it is not somebody trying to hide, okay? Well, then here, you've got this New York governor actually says feds will deploy a drone detection system. Now, we've seen that on a couple of other locations as well, where they're talking about it in Jersey, et cetera, around the White House, right? And so they have that technology and that capability. They just go up, they can jam them, they can capture what they're doing, they can take them over, hack them. There's all kinds of different things they have the ability to do, all right? So as we talk about some of this, I do want to just bring up the fact that, military programs, they're not going to come out over a populated area with the lights going and try to, run some type of secret program. They do that stuff over Yuma, which is a proving ground. They do it over White Sands, New Mexico. They do it in different, areas where they're kind of remote, like China Lake, okay? So if you're not familiar with Squad X, let me just take you over here. I want to show you just a quick video. I'll talk to it while it's going through the motions. But this, DARPA has gone dark with the Squad X, all right? But this is what they were trying to do. you'll notice this drone, this is a video game. It's called Ghost Recon Future Soldier, but that's exactly what DARPA was copying, all right? They probably saw this game and said, we want that capability. But it basically allows them to coordinate events with on-ground troops, law enforcement, whatever it may be. It can look into buildings. It can grab thermal imagery, etc. And so that, those are the type of technologies that are out there now when it comes to drones. So is this a new thing that we need to be concerned about and worried about? Yes, drones are definitely a risk. And as we've seen what's going on in Europe, they have the ability to take out military targets, hit buildings, blow things up. So, yeah, at our southern border, you got cartel that are starting to strap explosives to drones. So, yes, they're a big threat. Somebody flies that into, a presidential motorcade, yeah, they can wreak havoc. Okay, here we go. We talked about this. Army's Dark Eagle hypersonic missile finally blasts off, and that's out of Cape Canaveral. You can see the images here. Go down a little further. You can see the launcher, the launch pods, etc. This is a hypersonic missile test. Only had 2 in the chamber. All right, so let's move on from that. Let's talk now into the other piece of this. So I was showing you that the Army actually had a bunch of NOTAMs and stuff out in the Atlantic Ocean. So I just wanted to follow up, let you know this success, took place, and that NOTAM is gone. Look at this. Your heart just bleeds for them. Central America officials are now complaining that they don't have capacity to take back the illegals deported by Trump. It hasn't even started yet. They're already whining, oh, just wait. We're going to be flying them, getting them out of the airplane, and close the door. See ya. Enjoy the rest of your life, and don't come back. All right. But look, let me go over here. I'll just show you what they've been up to. This is Global X last 5 days. Again, they're flying them. They pick them up in Miami, and they fly them up into, you can see Madison, Wisconsin, Springfield, Ohio, down from our borders, transferring them down into South America, etc. This is Global X. Doesn't stop there. This one will blow your mind. Omni. That's who's getting all the business here. Take a look at this. That is 5 days of Omni. I'm telling you, they're going to Hawaii with a lot of these folks. Trickles going across the drink. We know some of those flights right there coming across from Europe into the U.S. are actually Middle Easterners. Look at the thick trace lines down to Colombia, down to Puerto Rico, down to Central America, right? Super, super thick trace lines. Omni they are committing treason, honestly. I hope they're held accountable when all of this comes to light, okay? All right, we talked about the immigrants. Let's move on. This is going to be your NOTAMs. The only thing that caught my eye was this one right here. That is a missile launch box. It says TDA rocket debris. All right, so we've got a danger area set up. That's probably more Starlink stuff coming back in, all right? So, or it's they're launching something out of here and it's just going to be falling here. All right. It didn't say Starlink. They usually say that. So that's probably some type of a missile test. Okay. Biggs Army Airfield. Just a quick point out here is notice the spas are coming back in. We got these are troop carrying size. All right. So notice they're deadheading in. So that's a deadhead flight. This is a deadhead flight. The one from Cincinnati, Kentucky is probably, it may or may not be. These GLEX flights, look at the amount of Chinook helicopter flights around the base. Very busy, very active. Notice the one Omni is leaving to Shannon, Ireland. And this one's headed to McConnell Air Force Base. I'm really starting to think they are deploying troops all over the U.S., all over the world, all right? And then you get over here to Dover. Just notice this one. Atlas Air is going to Ramstein, 747. Keep going. We've got the Brits. Notice that one's rolling out of RZE. We're going to get into that. You got Portsmouth happening. There's a lot of stuff. This is an A400. It doesn't have the fuel to get all the way across the drink. So it's going to do a fuel stop in Iceland. That's where that is, back to probably the UK. Now, when they come over here, they're probably just picking up stuff and taking it back, equipment, things that they're buying. Okay. Now, let me get back up. Ramstein, all right? Notice you got some 747s coming in. You got some camper flights coming in, All right, that's going to be more than likely 767-300. That's going to be troops, right? You can see C-17s, C-130s. There's Omni, again, headed to Iceland from here. So pretty active. Okay, and so this, and then I'm going to show you RZE Poland, forward operating base. This is coming out of Putin's mouth, all right? He says basically you're pushing Russia beyond a red line. It says the United States, he says, you're building up troops in Europe, and they continue to. Not only are they giving Ukrainians ATACMS, but they are, like I mentioned last time, we are seeing a huge uptick in what's going into RZE Poland, which is a forward operating base. That's it right here. This, you hardly see it, but that is a line, that's the border into Ukraine. All right, so other than Constanta, this is one of the most forward operating bases that they have. But let me just go through and show you what's arriving, okay? The Italians, NATO, you go down a little further. Camber Flight, U.S. Transportation Command, 747. 747 coming out of McGuire, Fort Dix. That one's coming out of Doha, all right, coming inbound. 747 coming inbound, right? So some very large aircraft rolling in to RZE Poland. A lot of these with these Camber flights, a lot of them are bringing troops in. So we seem to be stacking up more troops into Poland, okay? All right, and our last story here, pay attention to this one because this is pretty interesting. U.S. forces conduct airstrikes against ISIS in Syria, killing 12 militants. Pointing this out because, just as I mentioned in the last SITREP, this right here is the goal, okay? They're going to they're going to bring ISIS back, 2.0, all right? And Syria is going to be the front line, right? I told you that the people that took over Syria are basically Al-Qaeda. They call them the Syrian Al-Qaeda, okay? That's the same people that Biden just said, oh, well, we got a $10 million bounty on this guy's head, but I'm going to basically get away from the bounty, take that away, all right? And then, oh, by the way, we're just going to basically no longer call that a terrorist organization. So Biden is up to what, his old usual stuff. And that, his handler, Obama, just what they did back when we left Syria and everybody started piling in, that's going to be the front line for the Middle East is Syria. And then the other piece, I think, given the fact that we are pushing so many troops into RZE Poland right now, tells me that there's an intent to go to war against Russia, and they're getting everybody in place. That should scare all of us to death. All right. Listen, that's going to do it for our SITREP today. We'll see you again on Thursday. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. Stay frosty. Keep that powder dry. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out.